I'm Jenna Miscavige. I was born and raised in Scientology. I left when I was 21 years old and wrote a book about it. My uncle, David Miscavige, is the leader of Scientology, and this is my YouTube channel. Hi guys, I thought we could make breakfast together and have a little chat, maybe talk about what food has to do with healing from complex trauma. Alright, so first things first, I am making the breakfast that I make for myself every day. It has Greek yogurt, and then I just throw in whatever seasonal fruit that I have. And so I use the 5% Greek yogurt, and then we have mandarins here. They're seasonal. We have a pomegranate, walnuts, and chia seeds. Hemp seeds, and we have a little bit of cinnamon, and all right, I'm opening everything, and a little bit of water, just because I like to use it to mix it into the yogurt so that it's not as thick. And I have these glass Tupperware containers. It's for 4 days, and I am going to be making everything all at once. All right, so first I'm going to put about a cup of yogurt in each bowl. I don't usually measure it, but I am for you today. I like to use Greek yogurt because it has a lot of protein. And honestly, because it has a good amount of fat as well, which keeps me full throughout the day. Now that I'm looking at the amount, I want to say that it's actually more like 3/4 of a cup of yogurt that I use. And the amount actually, it winds up being more because I add water. I mean, it's not more actual yogurt, but it looks like a larger quantity because I add water just to sort of thin it out and make it more smooth, and just to change the texture a little bit. So I started this class recently, which is an online class, which was created by Tim Fletcher, who is basically an expert in healing from childhood adversity. And the class is called the 12 Basic Needs, and it's basically teaches you that everyone has 12 basic needs, and each of these needs has like a list of other needs that fit within those needs. But basically, when these needs weren't met as a child, you essentially developed coping mechanisms to get these needs met, or strategies that you would use in order to feel safe. Because in the end, when you're a kid, sometimes fighting or fleeing is not an option, and so you have to deal with the problem in front of you. And so you develop certain strategies, and sometimes one of these strategies is to fulfill a need with a different need. So a perfect example of this is how sometimes people have an emotional need and they fill it with food. And I've definitely been guilty of that in the past. And I think one of the reasons why I like meal prepping is because it helps me to make the food that I want to eat and nourish myself with food, but it also helps me to plan ahead so that I'm not then trying to fulfill my emotional needs with food. It's like, I made this food for myself, this is enough, and if I want to eat more, then maybe something else is wrong, and maybe I need to look at what else that might be. All right, we got all the yogurt. Now I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon helps to stabilize your blood sugar and just gives it a little flavor or scent or something that is comforting. And then I'm going to pour a little bit of water into each of these. I would say that I'm putting about a 1/4 cup of water. So 3/4 cups of yogurt and a 1/4 cup of water. And so the other thing that meal prepping does is if I am feeling emotional and or even hangry, the food that is healthy for me is already there. If I don't have the wherewithal to sit there and make food, especially something like this, which has many ingredients, and if I'm already starving, there's no way I'm going to be doing all that when I'm hungry. And so it's just helpful to me to have it there ready for me. A lot of my life, when I was in Scientology, I didn't cook for myself. Like, we ate communally. So there was a galley. And so I didn't learn how to cook until I came out of Scientology when I was 22. And it was a slow process for me. Like, for a couple years, my ex-husband would have to take things out of the oven for me because I was too afraid of it. And I remember the first recipes I learned, he taught me, and they were like how to make chicken nuggets. And looking back, he was kind of a horrible cook trying to teach me how to cook. But at least he had like grown up in a house with his mom where she, you know, sort of taught him how to cook. And so, yeah, so learning to like even just take care of myself with food is something that's been a really long process for me. Although we did have food in Scientology, and often plenty of it, there were times when I was a kid and, you know, when I was 12 years old and I was 3,000 miles away from my parents, and we would eat dinner at 6, but then we would get home at midnight and I would be starving. And we had like a little canteen there, but I would basically just, like, I only had a certain amount of pay, which was like Sea Org pay is $50 a week. But because I was in training, I was always on half pay. So it was $25. But usually the whole crew was on half pay already. So my pay became, so everyone was on half pay. So I was even half of that. So my pay became like $12. And these canteens would like, they would mark up the prices. And so I would like get a huge cup of Frosted Flakes at night before I went to bed, and I would get this huge energy rush. And just between being sleep deprived and a little bit food deprived, it was kind of a recipe for unhealthiness and disaster. And so, and that was just the norm for me. Like, we're pretty much always I was always sleep deprived when I was there. So just even learning to cook was one step, and learning to take care of myself. A whole other step was learning to actually eat when I'm hungry, eat at somewhat regular times, to eat healthily. Honestly, I didn't eat vegetables for years after I left Scientology. Like, I remember even bragging about it at the place where I worked, and they were like, like I thought it was like cool or something, and they were like, that's weird. All right, I got this kind of all mixed up. It just makes the texture just a little bit more creamy, and I like how it contrasts with the fruit. All right, so now I'm going to add in the mandarins. I'm going to add 1 per bowl. It's so satisfying when you go to peel something and it's already like a little bit separated from the fruit. I love that feeling so much. So I also like that adding this fruit gives me at least a whole serving of fruit. And I'm going to add in another piece of fruit too, just for breakfast. I tried to add as much plant matter as possible, just because that helps keep my microbiome, my gut microbiome diverse. And I don't know, obviously I can't prove any of this is true, but it seems to be working out for me. I mean, ever since I've started eating more healthily, and by the way, I've had like 600 runs with attempting to eat healthily. This is a system that really works for me and makes me feel good and makes it so I have sustained energy throughout the day, that I don't have to be starving, and my skin doesn't break out, and it makes me feel like I have the energy to be more active. So I don't know. I like it, and I hope you guys like it too. I feel like citrus is one of the best scents in the entire world. Citrus, jasmine, honeysuckle, coffee. Okay, I don't really know why I ripped this one apart, but it's fine. All right, so that's done. Now we're gonna put in this pomegranate. I'm gonna scoochie these forward because I'm gonna need the cutting board for this. Okay, so there are many ways to cut a pomegranate, and I don't remember any of them. I have to relearn them each year. So I'm just gonna cut it in half. All right, I'm gonna take each bowl and just put a bunch in there. Okay, so we've got pomegranates in each one of these. I put about 2 tablespoons of pomegranates in each of them, and they look so bright and pretty. I love it. So next, I'm just gonna put a little bit of walnuts in each one. I'll just crush them up with my hands a little bit. In the summer, I sometimes use almonds as well, but I just feel like walnuts are super yummy with these flavors. And I have them on hand, and I love them. So I probably put about 2 tablespoons of nuts in here. And a little more in there. I can break them up with my hand, but I really don't mind eating big chunks of them, so. With the almonds, I kind of have to chop them up, so it's actually nice to not have to chop up the walnuts. And I do try to be like, all right, only put 2 tablespoons of nuts in there. Whereas with the fruit, I don't really limit it because I don't really have a reason to. Like, I'm never going to eat too much fruit. I know that it has sugar in it, but my stomach would probably be hurting before I ate too much of it. And when I crave sugar, I don't really crave fruit. I crave chocolate. All right, so I'm going to put a teaspoon of chia seeds in each bowl. I think chia seeds have a good amount of fiber, and I think they have a good amount of fat in them too. I could be wrong about that. All right, and a teaspoon of hemp seeds as well. And these look so pretty and so colorful. My eyes like the colors. I feel like my stomach likes the colors. And it is all just one big happy deal going on right here. I want you guys to see how gorgeous and colorful and festive these look. And it has so many good textures in there as well, which is my favorite thing. I love some crunch, some creaminess, some tartness. Yummy, 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 yummy. All right, let's close these up. Put them in the fridge for later. It's just so nice to have these when I'm trying to get started with work. And I don't have to sit there and spend all this time getting my food ready. All right, I'm gonna mix this up. All right, let's give it a taste. Get a little bit of everything in this bite. So freaking delicious. And even more delicious because it's healthy. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me and making breakfast with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to check out Sins of Scientology on YouTube. And also, if you haven't read my book already, you can find it on Amazon. It's called Beyond Belief, My Secret Life Inside Scientology and My Harrowing Escape. All right, have a great day. Bye.